Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Empathic Designer podcast by Vylearn. I am your host, Vaidishwaran. As you can see, I'm on vacation this week, and I had an opportunity to meet a few people here and have some great conversations. I had someone mention here that their organization had actually invested quite heavily in AI and trained their employees, but they weren't really seeing many results as they expected. And when I hear this, it tells me something really important. The problem may not be the tool, it may not even be the training in itself. The problem may be that the organization has not changed how work gets done. I've had many conversations with my clients about AI and its implementation, and they almost always start in a similar place. They've spent millions on tools, they've trained thousands of their employees. They have dashboards that show completions rates at the north of 90% and have received some amazing feedback scores. There is strong leadership intent and plenty of excitement, but when it comes to the actual usage and adoption and the business impact, the result often seems to be a bit underwhelming. And here's what's interesting: many organizations are looking for answers in the wrong place. There's a logic that might seem so obvious, like if we teach people how to use AI, they will use it. And if they use it, their productivity will go up. And when productivity gains, there is ROI gains. It's pretty simple, straightforward, and reasonable. So we do what makes sense to us. We roll out training programs, we bring in experts, we create centers of excellence, measure completion rates, and so we celebrate participation like we always do. But I want to suggest something that might sound a bit uncomfortable for all of us. We may be solving the wrong problem. Let me tell you what this looks like on the ground. A company invests in AI capabilities. Let's say Copilot, for example, or any other internal generative AI tool or any AI enabled platform, which is supposed to change how people work. HR and LLD build solid programs. People go through the program, they understand the tool, they try new use cases, they are even excited about what the tools can do. 3 months later, I'm back in the leadership room, and here's what I typically hear: people finish the training, scores are great, but we are seeing maybe 20-25% people actually using it regularly. And here's the thing: it's usually not because people forgot how to use it, it's because when they got back to their desk, everything else was exactly the same. Their manager didn't change how work was assigned, their KPIs didn't change, the process they followed didn't change, and the review mechanism in itself also didn't change. The risk boundaries haven't become much more clear, and no one told them in practical terms as to what they were actually supposed to do differently. So they made the most rational decision possible. They just went back to doing things the old way because the old way was much more clear, it was safe, and it's something that they're familiar with and they accepted. And in most organizations, the old way is still what gets rewarded. Here's what took me longer than it should uh, to realize. I mean, AI doesn't just add new skills to your workforce, it fundamentally changes how work in itself gets done. When you introduce AI, you're not just saying, hey, here's a new tool. You're also saying some tasks that took hours may now take minutes. Some decisions maybe have to be made differently. Some things humans used to do may no longer need to be done the same way. Some things AI does will need humans to review, challenge, and quality check. That's not just a training issue, that's a redesign of work issue. And if you don't redesign the ways of working, the training doesn't stick. And honestly, it can't. In my conversations with organizations, I also keep seeing the same three barriers. The first is the workflow problem. People learn AI in a workshop, They go back to a process designed for a pre AI world. There's no natural moment in their day when using AI becomes the obvious choice. It is not built into the workflow, it is expected in the handoff. It is not part of the review, it is not tied to any specific output. So AI becomes this extra thing that they could do. And we all know what happens to extra things at work. They easily disappear when the real work begins. The second problem is a manager problem, and that's a big one. Most middle managers are people who shape how work happens day to day. They are the ones who clarify the priorities, assign work, review outputs, and they are the ones who decide what good looks like. So they are the ones who have the power to create an ambience for experimentation. And in many ways, managers are the adoption layer. And if they don't know what to expect, review, reward, or challenge, AI just remains to be a side activity. And right now, many managers are still unsure as to what to do with AI. They're still trying to figure it out if AI is just a nice to have or if it's something that they should be serious about. Should they push AI to their teams? Should they push its usage? How to review work generated by AI? What goes wrong? So when managers are uncertain, teams stay cautious, and you can't really blame the team. Nobody wants to be that person who used AI incorrectly and created a problem. The third is the am I allowed to use this problem? And I've seen people ask, I could use AI for this, but is it okay? Can I put client data in there? If AI writes the first draft, do I need to disclose that? And who's responsible when there's a mistake? To be honest, these are not unreasonable questions. In fact, this is exactly the questions responsible professionals should be asking. But if your people don't have clear answers, they will play it safe. And from their perspective, playing it safe often means not using AI. After all, they know how to do their jobs, right? The current way has worked so far. So why take the risk when a system that around them hasn't really changed? So what do organizations that actually get value from AI do differently? They don't start with let's train everyone. They start with the actual work. They ask where could AI genuinely change how our team operates? Which are the workflows that should be redesigned? What should this role actually look like if we are serious about AI? And what do humans still need to own in the AI process? They redesign the work first and only then they bring in learning. And when they do, the learning doesn't look like a generic AI training, it's specific. Here's how AI changes your workflow. Here's how new processes we are using. Here's what you should do with AI for what you should do and what you should not do with AI. And here's how your manager will review your output. Here's what good looks like. And this is when adoption happens. Not because the training was better, but because the organization made clear that this is actually how we work now. Now, this has significant implications. And if you are in L&D, your job is not building courses anymore. Your job is to help organizations ask better questions before a single module is built. What business problem are we trying to solve here? What workflow is changing? What should behavior look different after this training? What supports would manager need? What will be the measure or what will you measure beyond completion? And if you are a business leader, you cannot delegate this to HR and IT and call it done. This is a business transformation question, and someone needs to own how work actually gets changed. Someone needs to define the new performance expectation, and someone need to make experimentation safe without making it careless. And that is your role as a leader. The most important work happens before you build anything. It is messy, it requires collaboration, it takes longer than you want, but it is the difference between AI being a line item on your training report and AI actually changing business outcomes for you. So before your next AI leadership meeting, try swapping one question for another. Instead of asking what percentage of our people completed AI training, you should ask what has actually changed about how we work. If the honest answer is not much, then you haven't run an AI transformation. You've run a content program. And that is the real reason why your AI investment isn't working. The question was never, have we trained people on AI? The question is, have we changed how work gets done? That's the conversation that determines whether your investment in AI pays off or just becomes another initiative that looked impressive but didn't quite land. Thanks a lot for listening. And if this post resonated with you, share it with someone navigating AI adoption right now. A business leader, an L&D leader, a manager, or anyone who's trying to work out what AI should actually change. Because chances are they don't need another reminder that AI is important. They kind of know that. They need better conversation about what work should become. Thank you, and I'll talk to you soon.